Hello. In this video, we will create a new EKS cluster and nodes as part of a new stack. We will open the canvas and add the AWS EKS cluster component. We will define the properties of the cluster, including a name of the cluster, a role ARN. This is the role we had deployed earlier in the IAM stack. We could have also connected the cluster to the role object if the IAM components were on the same stack as the EKS cluster using a connector. In this case, we are defining the ID property of the role manually. Now we define the VPC configuration where we define what subnets this cluster can connect to. You will see the subnets that were already deployed as part of the networking stack. We select the two subnets and then save the properties. Now we can add the EKS add-on components. In this example, we will add the CNI and the kube proxy add-ons to the EKS cluster. We define the names, and we now save and deploy the EKS cluster components. The cluster will take a few minutes for deployment. And now we will add nodes where we can deploy the applications too. So we open the canvas and add the node group component. We will define some minimum properties, including name, the ID of the policy ARN that we had created earlier, and select the subnets where these nodes will be deployed to. And we will define a scaling policy for the node group. We will define for now just one node for the desired maximum and minimum node size. In the end, we will define which EKS cluster these nodes will join. We can select the cluster name in the dropdown as opposed to connecting using a connector. Now we save and deploy the node groups. We built a few stacks and walked through the deployment of VPC, subnets, then the routing components and an internet gateway. Later, we added the required identity or IAM components. And in the end, we deployed the EKS cluster and the nodes using a node group. This completes the walkthrough of the AWS EKS infrastructure deployment. As you saw, it was pretty easy to deploy each of these components. For the walkthrough, we intentionally deployed multiple stacks, but another option is to deploy all the components on a single stack. So QCloud offers an alternate way to compose and deploy infrastructure, and it generates the required code behind the scenes automatically. This method of deployment saves a considerable amount of time as compared to using the AWS console to deploy each of the individual components separately. I hope you have enjoyed the walkthrough videos. Please contact us for a demo or more information at info@appmodz.net. Thank you very much.